So I'll hand you over to our first speaker. So we've got Rebecca, who's speaking about seducing online shoppers. Just round of applause. Yes.
That worked, yeah. Okay. So hi, my name's Rebecca, as Dave said. I was here a couple of months ago rather, doing a talk on diversity. If you were there then, you will have seen me. So today I'm going to talk to you about seducing online shoppers and using it as a tool to persuade shoppers to convert. And it's inspired by a talk I saw from Kath Pay at Magento Live a couple of years ago. So I can't take all the credit, it's not all my ideas. But yeah, persuasion is a powerful tool for sales, and it always has been. So this is a quote from the Cambridge Dictionary associated with the word persuade. Clever salesmanship can persuade you to buy things you don't really want. Now, I don't really agree with this entirely, because it kind of supports one of the great myths, that is, persuade us, convince us to do things that we don't really want to do. And I don't think that's true. You can't move a piece of string by pushing it, you have to pull it, and people work in the same way. You can't force them, you can only entice them in. So yeah, the journey that I'm going to take you on today, the customer journey that I'm going to take you on today, looks a little bit like this. So we're going to take, so this talk was meant, when I first did this talk, I think it ended up going to be about 2 hours long. So quickly had to cut that down, otherwise Dave was going to get very nervous. We just, instead of the 2 or 3 examples that I had got for each of them, I'm just going to go through one really quickly. So we'll look at emails, or palm trees, landing pages, or mountains, and look at product pages, or these giant lakes, and then the checkout, or those things, which I think are meant to signify a swamp, so the checkout swamp, and then some abandoners as well. You can see those dangerous skull and crossbones. So I'm going to share the rest of the ones that I'm missing out from this talk on a blog post or something later on. But before we start this journey, I want to take a quick look at how we got to this e-commerce island, and that would be through the sign up. So there's our little sign up ship. So this first example that I'm going to show you is from Rebecca Minkoff, and it's using an implicit directional cue. So implicit directional cues are subtle visual elements that guide us towards an area on the page. So directional cues are your big arrows, obvious things pointing you at things, whereas implicit ones are a bit more subtle, because evolution has made us an expert on faces. So when we see a photograph, the first thing that we'll look at is the person's face, before we'll look at anything else in the photo, and we tend to focus on their eyes. So when we look at this model here, we see that she's not looking at us or outwards, she's looking down, so we'll follow her eye line exactly to the form that Rebecca Minkoff wants us to fill in. So that's an example of how you can use an implicit directional cue on your sign-up forms. So the first bit we're going to look at on our e-commerce map is email. So the one I'd chosen to show you from the examples that I had was using personalization. So personalization delivers a 6 times higher transaction rate, and personalized subject lines tend to get a 26% higher open rate. That's not something that I've discovered, that's just a fact that I found online. But here Vistaprint are using the power of the personalization not only in the subject line, so they've got Rebecca, no postcards left, ? But they've also used it in the email content. That is my postcard that I purchased from Vistaprint, and I had run out of them at this point, but also the party had passed, so it was kind of irrelevant. But if I was just giving them out again, if I needed to buy more, this would have been the perfect thing. 25% off, brilliant, I'll go and order some more. I'm running out anyway. And what's nice about this is how streamlined it was with actually going back to the Vistaprint website to reorder. So just either clicking that reorder now or clicking that get my postcards link took you straight to this page on their website, which has got a nice preview of the front and the back of your postcard. And you just click next, and there you go, you're in the checkout, you're purchasing it, you've converted pretty much at that point. So yeah, we've saved your design, so it's simple and easy for you to reorder or edit. And then the next step that we come to, which leads us nicely on because this is a landing page, the landing page land of mountains. And the one that I'm going to show you is from a website called UK Tool Centre. They're an e-commerce site. And this is an example of Hick's Law. So Hick's Law states that the time it takes to make a decision increases as the number of alternatives increase. So too much choice leads us to being overwhelmed to the point of indecision. And that's happened to me so many times. I've just been like, too much, can't, no. So less is more sometimes. So now with this example, the marketers that were looking to improve this site looked at that filter and thought, we don't really need it. They've already filtered down to Cuprenol. They've come to this page because they want to see Cuprenol products. So they thought it was unnecessary, so they took it off. And this page saw a 27% increase in engagement. So the visitors were less distracted by the filter and less distracted by the easy option of just leaving the page because that's too much for me to handle. Too many options, too many decisions. I'm just going to leave. So yeah, 27% increase in engagement is definitely something to be shouted about. And then, so obviously after this page, we want our users to go to the product page. Now, we have covered a lot of ground already pretty quickly. I think it's taken me about a minute to get here with how fast I'm speaking. But this next section I've not actually cut anything out of because it's my favourite bit. So I decided that I would risk it. So this is your product. So the first one is, this is Paul Smith, and it's using von Restorff, which Hedwig von Restorff was a German psychiatrist, and in 1933 she conducted a set of memory experiments around isolated and distinctive items, and essentially what she found was that we remember things that stand out. So if you want us to take note, make it different. And this is known as the von Restorff effect, or the isolation effect. So on this Paul Smith page, we can see the thing that stands out is the only thing that's in colour, the add to basket button. And that's their isolation colour. And by being consistent and strict with the use of this colour, they can actually train their visitors to click that whenever they see that colour, so that it signifies, oh, that's something that I can interact with because it stands out to me, it's different. This tactic is used all the time. It's pretty much on every single website. Your calls to actions are always in a different colour, and you've all probably used it yourselves without even realising that you had old Hedwig here to thank. So yeah, the next example I've got is made.com, and this is taking advantage of white space. So you don't have to cram something into every possible corner of your website. The more space that is left unused, the more attention that is driven to actually what you want them to look at. So Made is actually probably one of my favourite Magento stores. I actually really, really like just to use it, even though I can't afford any of the stuff on there. I like to have a click around. So what they're trying to sell on this page is quite obviously the chair. It's the biggest thing on the page. You can imagine this is your browser. It's taking up 50% of your browser. It's like almost the only thing on there. And then of course they've used Hedwig's tactic of a standout colour with the yellow add to basket button as well. But yeah, it just works, and even though they've got loads of what would be called wasted space, it works. And then Amazon. So Amazon like to do something that I call all the things. So this product page actually doesn't show all of the tactics that they use for persuasion on their website. This one just has the von Restorff effect, anchoring, social proof, and loss aversion, which you can see here, 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 and here. And there's even some personalisation and some white space. So it makes you wonder, are Amazon really just winging it? Is it such a mystery that they are so successful when they've got so much of what we call persuasion tactics glaringly obvious in your face? I know I've not explained some of them to you, so you're going to have to go away and look up anchoring or wait for my blog post to come out, which contains all the slides. But yeah, Amazon is a good place to look if you want to see examples of absolutely anything. And then the next step we're going to go to is that relentless swamp known as the checkout. And Made.com again because it's my favourite. But the amount of times that I've come to a checkout and I've been presented with what seems like a bajillion form fields, and it's overwhelming and ugly and poorly organised, and instantly I'm like, abort, no, can't bothered. Yeah. And this is, I mean, it's getting better, but it's still a common mistake made throughout e-commerce checkouts. They ask for far too much, far too early, and they don't make it easy for you. So ask for only what you need, make it digestible, break out the process into a few steps so you can see how far I am from completion, show me what's coming next. Address lookup, I think, should just be everywhere because I hate having to type out my address now that I've seen address lookup. I just want to type my postcode and I want you to figure out the rest. So yeah, I think Made have got it a little bit right. They've got the order summary on the right. I don't like that they don't have at least a list of what I've actually got in my basket. So they've just got your subtotal and your total. I've seen a lot of others where they've actually got the image of your product that you've got, or at least the title of what products you've got in, because I don't know though if I've got 5 products or just one. I have just got one. It's just that chair. It's so expensive. But yeah. So I think having an order summary is definitely important, but I would recommend putting in, if you can, at least a list of the products. And then your next step is to look at your abandoners. So these evil little crossbones that can appear absolutely anywhere on the journey. And it's impossible to get them back once they've left. So there are a few things that you can do, but the one thing that I'm going to look at is the obvious one, abandoned basket. So these aren't a new phenomenon, but they are often rushed into, not really thought about. Especially with Magento, it tends to be, we'll install this abandoned basket module, we'll not even change the template of the email that automatically comes with the module. We'll just let it send itself in. It's just normally like the logo and some horribly generic message trying to get them to come back, and it just doesn't work. And with things like abandoned baskets, one thing that is key is timing. So research has shown that on average, abandoned baskets emails sent in less than 20 minutes after they've abandoned the cart achieve a 5.2% conversion rate. Within an hour, it goes down to 4.5%, and over 24 hours is 2.6%. So the sooner you can get them out, the better. But then you run the risk of, I haven't actually abandoned it and you've sent me this already, I just accidentally closed the window. So yeah, maybe leave it 10 minutes or so before sending one out. This one from Kate Spade I really liked because they gave me a discount, and yeah, it's got quite an impersonal message. Just you've left something behind to help you make your mind up. Here's, yeah.
The stats, what are they left 20 minutes there? What products were they?
I don't know. I can't remember. What I'll do is I'll put a link out for where I got those stats from, so that you can have a look at. Yeah, but I can't. I think it was just it was by. They had Experian Marketing did research on loads of different industries, and I think this was just the general overview bit, but they did split it out into travel, retail, etc. So yeah, it's worth looking into your specific target audience. So yeah, and then you come to the end of your map and you hit the X that marks the spot of conversion. So yeah, that actually got through that a lot quicker than I thought I was going to. I could have left all my slides in. God, Phil. But yeah, so all of these different areas, they do require your individual attention. You can't just go out, in a pair of shorts thinking that you're going to be able to get through the palm trees, the mountains, the lake and the swamp. But you do also still need to remember that they follow on from each other. So you need to tackle them and focus them on them individually, but then also remember that they follow on from each other. So you can't enter the trees unprepared for the swamp, and you also can't just skip over the trees because you're focusing on the swamp. You need specific tools for each one. So this is, I'm teaching you conversion rate optimization techniques and how to be a pirate. But yeah, you need a clear route from start to cross, else you're going to get lost, your customers are going to get lost, and you're going to end up with skull and crossbones everywhere because people have just died and left. So yeah, that's my... Yeah, it's really dangerous, yeah. I've had so many abandoned basket emails about that chair now. But yeah, any easy and simple questions?
What's your favourite colour?
My favourite colour is orange.
Lovely. Why is that not orange?
It is orange.
It's red here.
I know, it's orangish. Yeah. See, my favourite colour when I was a kid was red, because my favourite Teletubby was Poe. And then as I've grown, it's kind of like developed into a burnt orange.
What's your favourite Teletubby now?
Still Poe. It's adorable. Yeah.
The question will be easy for me. If sometimes less is more,
Yep.
and sometimes in your experience more is more,
Yep.
when is less just less?
But it's not size.
I would say less is less. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
And you don't need Ruby.
Yeah. I'd say less is less if it's not clear, if it's not obvious, if it's too sparse that your customers actually don't know where to go. It's not clear the route that they've got to take from email to landing page to product to checkout. Have you hidden your add to cart button in the same colour as everything else, or yeah, I think that'd be when less is less. But testing is key. A/B testing.
Has anyone followed what people look for? Because one of the first things I look for is what's the delivery charge.
Yeah.
And it's often impossible to find.
Yeah.
You almost have to buy something.
Just put it in your basket just to find it.
Just
Yeah.
to find that information.
Yeah, I think that is something that needs to be improved across e-commerce sites. I think some of them are doing it with they often have it in like their confident messages along the top. It'll be like free delivery if you spend over £50, but then that's all you know. It's like, what if I don't want to spend £50? And then they'll hide their delivery terms way down in their terms and conditions, and you have to scroll through all this bump just to try and find it. Yeah. So yeah, I think that definitely needs to be improved on, because I'm the same. I want to know how much, because I don't like paying for delivery at all.
Quite.
Yeah.
Does anyone?
No. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
this one was first. You're just closer.
Some e-commerce sites insist that you register with them before you can actually make a purchase. I personally hate those kind of sites. What's your take on it, or based on what you know?
It's yeah. I think guest checkouts work for certain industries, retail being one of them. If it's just a quick, I like this T-shirt, I just want to check out quick. I'm not bothered about your offers. I don't really want to register. I just want to buy this
What I mean to
T-shirt.
say is that you can't even you haven't got the choice.
Yeah.
You can't even do it as
Do
a guest,
anything.
right? Because you've got two choices. You can either be a guest, and so you've got three, haven't you? You've got
Log in.
be a guest or you're registered.
Yeah.
You can just be, anonymous, just a guest, full stop, or you've got you've got to be registered every single time.
Yeah.
So they're the three the options that I presume every e-commerce site would consider.
Yeah, definitely.
As, the model that they would consider.
I tell lies.
And the one I'm thinking
Register as
of
an
is
arbitrary.
Pardon, sorry.
I tell lies. I just register as anything.
Just anything.
Try it out, and then if I'm interested,
Yeah.
I'll register as myself.
that's an
Yeah,
interesting
that
tactic, but yeah. Yeah, just fake email address, test@test.com.
Not at available.co.uk.
Yeah. Things like that, I think it depends on, it's very much a choice of the e-commerce. It depends if they think getting your data is more important than losing the customers that don't want to register.
Is there any evidence to suggest one method? Because obviously that's the motivation, but which one ultimately leads to more conversions overall?
I think guest checkout being available
The availability.
does, I've not obviously,
So you would
but yeah.
discourage people against
It really, some companies can't actually do guest checkout. They sometimes, it depends on what they sell and things like that, they actually can't offer you guest checkout because it's in their terms and conditions. They're a big company, they have to get your details, they have to have you registered. But yeah, I think it's a tough one, because if you register as a guest, then you're a one-time customer. They don't know who you are.
Yeah, you have to register as one.
Yeah.
Then you put off that you're a first-time buyer. That's assuming you're a first-time buyer. but the ones who have registered, it's so much more convenient. So
Yeah.
what ultimately is the best?
Yeah, I think you've got to offer what your target audience wants, and I think it's up to, they've got to A/B test that kind of thing and make sure that they get the customers and the target audience. That if it's like something that's novelty and people are only going to buy it once and they know people are only going to buy it once, then yes, check out. But if they want people to be loyal and
trade customers, it's better to be registered.
definitely with trade, I think they have to.
One more question.
This might be difficult because I have a personal opinion about it, which may not really
So
matter
all I'm
with
giving is
statistics.
personal opinion.
The emails, and I've had the emails that come when you've abandoned the cart or you just closed or you decided you'd wait till later to spend the money and think about it some more. How do you gauge the kind of language to use? Because I hate over-familiar emails. They're like, hey, they're using my name because I literally just typed it in the box and that's as much as they know about me, but they're talking to me as though we're pals.
Put in funny names. Make it so unpleasant, like dicks.
I think that one's a brand identity thing. I think a lot of companies are, if they're a more casual brand and they do speak more informally, then that's how they'll email you. If they're more upmarket, then that's when they tend to give you a more professional random basket email. But to be honest, it's getting more and more popular with the millennials to have something cool and funky and get their attention and do something different.
I had one that attempted to shorten my name, which I thought was fairly dangerous.
Sup, Trev?
Well, they got it right. I entered Trevor and they went Trev.
That's a clever algorithm. How did they do that?
It's not that clever.
Surely it just call me Reb. That kind of like, that's not a thing.
Can you imagine it getting better or something like that? It's a very American way of shortening.
Yeah.
But it's at what point in time does that alienate people or what? And the statistics for conversion, 5% is fairly low.
Yeah.
Even at the 20-minute mark. And to what extent would that be? Do they A/B test language?
Probably, yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of that is they've got SMS reminders and marketing as well, so shortening your name, less characters, more stuff they can send you.
Yeah. More bump. I'm not worried about the extra 2 letters of your name.
Yeah.
Great then. Round of applause.
Yes.